I mean, I take your point that the water after the dam, where it becomes the river, before the dam, it is the lake.
Yes.
The water lake. And, even in putting up the dam to create the lake, hundreds of settlements had to be resettled.
Yes.
If you didn't resettle, you drown. Yes. So that one, permanently, because the water is going to take over your communities.
Not to tell them, but they even harvest timber.
Yes,
because
still.
of that, still.
Yeah.
That's how high it is.
So that one, when the dam was, the wall was put in the river, water, and the water backed up, it took over your settlements permanently.
Yeah.
So that one, there's nothing like
I agree.
Being moved to some higher ground and you coming back. There's no village there, so there's no debate about it. And hundreds of settlements of villages
people were resettled,
moved, and they were resettled on a massive scale.
Yeah.
But the point is, after the dam, where it becomes the normal river, the river water, and the massiveness of the river, the lake is about 20 times the size of the river. But even the river is massive. And when you get to the Sogakope Bridge and you see the river, it's huge. Yes. A lot of water passing under the bridge into the sea where it turns into salt. You can't use it anymore. No. And this is fresh water.
Yes.
So that one, we should be able to do something about it. I mean, away from this is a disaster that is overwhelming. I mean, the waters have come to some volume that there's nothing you can do. But after that, the river itself, that volume, in your party's manifestos over the period, in my party's manifesto over the period, there's always something about irrigating the Accra Plains. Accra Plains is huge. Right. When you're driving towards, in the water region towards there, and you look to your left, you look to your right, it's just grass. Mm-hmm. As far as your eyes can see, both to the left and right, just grass. Plain, and the land is fertile because grass is growing on it. There's not a single cassava, a single yam that you can see, just grass. And the water lake is there, and just a few kilometers ahead, flowing into the sea. And in our manifestos, and you listen to State of the Nation address after State of the Nation after since Rollins, it's there. We'll irrigate Accra Plains, please. This is a low-hanging fruit that I believe when in another 5 months, when this calamity would have been over, we have to bring a certain national focus on the discussion as to allowing all this volume of water just to flow away. Fortunately for us, a few entrepreneurs have developed resorts. And so they are making commercial use of the water, which is good. But the potential for farming, I mean, here's a country we import onion. And you have this vast Accra Plains and this vast amount
Why
of
do you think
water.
we're not taking it seriously? Government after government after government. Commitment.
Yes. And so, like I'm saying, after this calamity, I expect that there will be a focused national discussion to achieve this. And there's a new Minister for Agriculture, my brother, Brian Champion. He's made a serious commitment just 2 days ago or so when they had some summit with the president in attendance where he talked about bringing a certain focus to irrigate the Accra Plains. He's new, so let's say that he's brought in a new energy. We only have about a year, but something should start. And you, the media, should play a role in this, in making sure that the advocacy not to allow this huge volume of water. For once, government should live up to its word as far as irrigating the Accra Plains, because then all this volume of water will be channeled to very good use to provide food and livelihoods for young people. Once the irrigation channels are there, people will then take up farming in those. And the huge land and huge water lying next to each other. All you need to do is connect them.
Let me read a message coming in from a viewer now who says that, now, are there any thoughts, discussions, or any plans about compensation for the victims? And I don't even know who should pay such compensation. Should it be the VRA? Should it be the government? Should it be Ghana Metro? Who has taken responsibility for this? And who should be responsible for paying such compensations?
You see, there has to be rehabilitation, which means getting the people as far as possible to their normal lives. That will mean cleaning up the communities, rehabilitating structures that have been destroyed, replacing properties that have been destroyed, restoring livelihoods that have been lost. So it's a whole package.
And it doesn't look like something that can be achieved, looking at the extent of damage, something that can be achieved in the next month or 2 or 3 or 6.
All the resources, including international assistance, should be sought, including a huge drive to get funding from Ghanaians. I'm sure my brother and myself, if there was a coordinated appeal for funds or coordinated funding aid, we can contribute.
TV3 is doing it.
Yes, TV3 is doing it. Many other individuals are doing it.
It has to be. It has to be.
But these
national,
are to.
It has to be a
basically assist the displaced people for now. But thinking long term, the water is still sitting there. It's been weeks. The water is still sitting there.
Because there's more. The spillage is still
the spillage has not ended.
No.
And now we are told that the rains are coming.
When the spillage ends,
it will be there for a little bit.
The water will be there for a little bit before it will sink.
Yes, and now the rains are coming. People who have no relatives in Accra or wherever to run to are cramped up in classrooms with their children, pregnant women, little children, men, and pretty much everybody are crammed up in these classrooms. We don't know how long this is going to go on for, and we don't know what's going to happen to them. Now, we've been told that these areas have been declared public health emergency zones. We are concerned about cholera and typhoid and all other waterborne diseases that can come. So right now, as they are there now, I guess the person's question is, while we wait to solve the problem long term, what can we do for these people now? We've sent rice to them, but they cannot cook.
What he's saying, if I heard you right, is a compensation.
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm saying that compensation means finding some money and giving it to them.
So they can move or go somewhere or do something.
It goes beyond just giving somebody 1,000 cedis.
Yeah.
Yes. It goes way, way beyond it.
Yeah.
If you give the person 1,000 cedis, what have you done? So it goes to getting rehabilitated. I mean, the homes. You have to have a huge national effort to clean up the homes. And not leave it to the people. It has to be a coordinated effort. Cleaning teams, well equipped with proper cleaning materials, have to go in there and help them to clean up the rooms. Structures that have been destroyed to be restored. Livelihoods. In the next couple of the sanitation systems that have been destroyed have to be restored.
Is it safe?
All of it. So it's not just going to find some compensation and then going away. It's bigger than that.
Compensation is a legal term, and it must be quantified. You have different categories of people. We know of businesses who have fish cages where all their stock is gone, because it's been in the river and it's taking the cages away.
Yeah.
We know of people whose farms have been totally destroyed. So, till you are able to quantify, compensation is not necessarily the word at this stage. It has to come. I believe there has to be some form of compensation. But we are talking of survival now. So the first thing, the kind of monies people are thinking about, or I'm thinking about, is, yes, you've put me in a shelter, you're saying, I need to get to buy some stuff, things are coming. Do we get any, for want of a better phrase, TNT, to get me through the next 2 weeks? That's different from compensation. Because the compensation, when the water settles, we can now assess whether you want to leave the area,
Or
whether you
continue
want
to
to
stay there.
rebuild your hut or your house. All that has to come into the fray when you use the term compensation. And therefore, for me, I think that people are mixing two issues. The survival, which instead of giving cash, people are donating food, people are getting water there, people are trying to get medical supplies, the agencies are doing all that. People who were on holiday have to get back to work, all their clothes, everything is gone. How do I move and get back to where I was? Because some of these people don't necessarily live there, that's their homes, but they work elsewhere or go to school elsewhere. So each to his own, pertaining what their immediate needs are. And so let's look at the immediate needs first. And obviously the most important, shelter, food, clothing. Then the next one that is going to come is medication. All this must be available as and when people need it, and you have the right medical personnel. Then those that have to go and do things elsewhere, how do you help them to get from A to B? People have lost their bank cards, people have lost all their IDs, etc., because of the spillage.
People took nothing. They literally
That's
just
what I'm
ran
saying.
out. Yes.
So till such time that in the next 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we don't know if rains are still coming, that they will even be able to get to the building.
We have been told that the rains are still coming.
Yes. So till we get there, people will need to be able to get from A to B or do what they are. So that is where the district assemblies and the municipalities and all the agencies that are there should assist them. So a compensation, we believe, up to a point. But if people are going to go back, which many are going to do, because they have nowhere to go, actually, and resettle, the question is, if you open the next year, for whatever reason, those gates are opened again, you're back to square one. So, yes, do it in the short term, but have a very, very realistic position.
Long term.
That must happen.
Realistically, even after the waters settle and things return to normalcy, would you say it will be safe to still settle in that community?
Yes.
It will be safe to live there?
Up to a point, because it's a question of communication and getting them information.
So if they were communicated to,
yes.
If they were told about, if they were properly communicated to, because they were communicated to.
Yes.
And the most they could have done, which they did, is leave.
But you live with your
It still destroys. But how realistic is that for them to always have to leave with all of their belongings?
For that, you need a long-term plan. Because even if they all moved out, and in a year two, that fertile land is there, somebody will move in into that farming. Somebody will say, I'll take the risk. So unless you blockade the area, make it clear that nobody goes into that area. But isn't it better to find a way to channel that water? Because today it's 100 cubic of water. 10 years' time, it could be 200. Now it's gone into further lands. So you need to start planning. What would be our position in 20 years' time when the communities are even bigger? Mm-hmm. And communities that haven't been touched may be touched because of the generality. So I hear the cry, but I think that it needs, as he says, a very important national program.
Yeah. And
we must not be planning for political 4-year cycles, 4 years. You have to have a 20-year plan in terms of we must build these issues and set up these things, whether it's irrigation, whether it is reservoirs. How do we do that over the next 20 years so that we are not even have to talk about it again? Because you have to find a way to deal with this water, and to our benefit.
Let me read another message coming in. Now, I saw the pregnant woman you were talking about. It made me very sad. Is it possible for the government to first remove such people like the aged, pregnant women, sick people, children, and so on, while they look for a long-term solution? It appears this crisis will continue for at least 1 month. Surely there must be a way. Anyway, we're still talking about the Akosombo Dam spillage. In a moment, we're going to cross over to talk about the resignation of 2 of the members of the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral, the Archbishop Duncan Williams, and then Reverend Eastwood Anaba. Just to wrap up the conversation, and finally, gentlemen, what will be your final words? The point or the topic for this conversation was whether or not a state of emergency ought to be declared. And I think from Nana Akomia's first submission, he agrees that, we need it is a state of emergency. We need some international assistance as well. I'm not sure I got your final point on whether or not it should.
I said it should be a state
it should be. Yeah. All right.
We also need to be clear in our minds that if we say a state of emergency, what does it bring to the table? Yeah, because work is going on. The fundamental aim is to get as much as possible relief items, shelter, food, water, sanitation, medicines, the works. If a state of emergency would facilitate our efforts to get more, why not? So
I think internationally it helps us.
I believe that the international angle is important. I don't know if it's a state of emergency that will trigger.
Not necessarily trigger it, but it will enhance.
But certainly there are channels to
prioritize it.
There are channels to get international aid. Those channels should be activated. I mean, we are not in the best of times as a country, So any assistance that we can get, let's do it. If a state of emergency will help us to get more, why not? But we need to be clear what extra it is going to bring to the table.
All right. Thank you, Nana Akomia, for those concluding words. And it is an emergency, and we need all the help we can get. Of course, the government alone cannot do this. As much as possible, we all need to put our shoulders to the wheel to assist. And here at TV3 and Media General and 3 Foundation, we're officially mobilizing supplies, food items, clothing, and other essentials to support our brothers and our sisters in the Volta region who have been affected by the spillage. So we need items such as food, clothing, books, medicines, building materials, and so on to ease the situation that they currently find themselves in. So all your donations are welcome. Please Momo us on 057 433 110, or you can also Momo us on our merchant code 120494. It's MTN 120494, and the name of the number is 3 Foundation. All right, you can please reference all of your donations with the word Akosombo, so we know exactly what it's for. You can call us if you have any inquiries on 0243 126 282. We're very grateful in advance for all of the help that's coming in. Can I
just clarify one thing? Not directly because of, say, drowning or whatever, but because of the floods. People have had snake bites.
Yes.
Because snakes have moved
inland.
And so there have been at least 3 or 4 fatalities from snake bites, but not from drowning. That's where we are.
And also, what you are doing, the TV3, trying to mobilize some funding, is commendable. But I believe that there has to be a national fundraising effort. So you don't want TV3. I mean, of course, there seems to be some gap.
Yeah.
And you are out of concern. You're trying to fill in. But you don't want a situation where there are 50 organizations all purporting to raise funding and mobilize resources. It has to be a national effort. This is so big that it has to be a national effort to raise to raise funding, both internally and also internationally.
Thank you, Nana Akomia.